So as we're trying to find dimensions, we want to be very, very careful that we do not convert any volume units. We only want to convert units on dimensions. So if we have a volume and some dimensions that are different, we want to make sure we convert the dimensions units to the volume units. And then one of the other things is if we have all the units the same, but it wants the answer at the end in different units, we have to wait until we get done and convert the units of the dimension at the end. And that's the complicated part. So as you go through and try these practice problems, be on the lookout for some stuff like that. Make sure you pay attention to what's going on. All right, so let me make sure I hit the right stuff here. Only convert units on dimensions, never volume. All right. Pay close attention to your answers. If it wants the radius and the diameter, we got to make sure that we're putting the right thing into the formula. But not only that, a lot of times you'll solve a question, you'll get the radius out of it, and then you'll have to turn that radius into the diameter, and that is the most missed thing. If you have a cone and it says what's the diameter, you plug everything in, you find the radius, you don't remember that you wanted the diameter, so just be extra careful with that. All right. Make sure that if you're taking square roots or third roots or anything like that, you do it last. All right. So third roots and square roots, do that at the end after you get everything else done. Okay. And then make sure you use fractions. All right. So do division as fractions. And what I mean is if you have, let's think of a quick example here. If you had like 4,000 equals pi times 6 squared times h, and you're solving for h. You divide out the pi and the 6 squared, okay? You divide out the pi and the 6 squared. Put this whole thing into the calculator as a fraction, all right? The whole thing into the calculator as a fraction so that you don't get anything goofy happening there. And then number 4, I have the same thing as I have for 3a. Make sure that you do the square root and the third root last. You want to make sure that that's at the end. That'll only be in some of the formulas, sphere, and then anything that has an r squared, which would be basically a cone and a cylinder, and it only happens sometimes. So just be on the lookout for that. Try a bunch of these problems and be very, very careful with what you're doing.